Rich Hebron is an author and host of the Rich Conversations podcast, which explores society and culture, art and science, and self-development. He was raised on a family farm in Raymond, Wisconsin, and lives in Chicago. He fuses both his rural and urban backgrounds to draw inspiration. He's had 2 near-death experiences in the past 5 years, further encouraging the pursuit of curiosity, leading to a life filled with infinite possibilities. Rich travels often, visits museums, and is an enthusiast of dinosaurs and the Milwaukee Bucks. He will also be running for president in 2028. Please welcome Rich.
Thank you. All right, so I'm running for president in 2028. And to me, in the 21st century, the American dream is the freedom to live where you want, how you want, and with whoever you want. So today we're going to go over things that can get you more in line with thinking about how you want to approach that. All right? I went to Wills in 2005. Were you guys born? No. Oh my God.
I said the same thing.
Do you guys still have the talent show?
Yeah. It's tonight.
Oh, it's tonight. I took 3rd place in the least talented portion. So I wasn't even the least talented. I was like the talented of the least talented. You guys know that song, What Is Love by Hathaway and Night at the Roxbury? So I basically just did this for like 3 minutes. And The Worm. Do you guys know The Worm? Yeah. It's a good question. I haven't tried it in like 10 years. We could try it out though. How many people think I can do it? Wow, that's too many of you. All right, stand up so you can see, I guess. Okay. All right, so we're gonna do the worm. See if we can do it still. I feel like I gotta take a break now, geez. See, so you guys were right about something. Now, I had mentioned the American dream, and we talked about, I'll write it up here. So in the 21st century, we have an unprecedented opportunity as far as individuality and freedom. So we can live where we want, how we want, and with who we want. I live this. Back in 2018, I had a near-death experience. I was on the farm, right? So I was in a field on a tractor I've been on for many years. So I'm in the field, and all of a sudden I hear this loud pop, and I see a tree line up ahead. So I shift to neutral, and then by the time I look up, there's smoke already just emerging right to the cab, and there's flames already by the cab. My heart sinks, and I think, I just gotta jump. So I open the cab door. I know I'm gonna get burned, but I just have to jump. So I jump about like 10 feet. I land on the ground, and I look back, and the glass of the cab just melts. It has this like turquoise hue. And then from that moment, I'm like, okay, life is gonna end. So how do I wanna live it? And how do I live my best life? So I started pursuing curiosity. I wasn't much of a reader before this, but I would start checking out books from the library, just like stacks, up to 50. And I'm just going through them, just not reading things that people tell me to read, but what I was curious about. And I reread this book called Sacred Hoops by Phil Jackson. Do you guys know who Phil Jackson is? Do you guys know who Michael Jordan is? Kobe? All right, so Phil Jackson was the head coach of the Bulls and Lakers, which led to 11 total championships with them. So I was like, okay, what did they do? And what Phil brought in was kind of this idea of mindfulness and meditation in professional sports. So what he would have guys do is just practice breathing, closing their eyes, being calm. And then in practices, they would just sit, often, part of practice, right? So they would sit and then just breathe, just recenter themselves. And this is a time in the NBA where the playing style was very physical. It was very kind of like challenging your manhood kind of thing. So Phil came in and he's like, what we're going to do is be calm and relaxed. So when we're on the court, we want to be thinking 5 players as one instead of 5 individuals thinking all for themselves, thinking about how many points they're going to score, what's happening after the game. Oh, I missed that last shot. Oh, I'm terrible. No, it's all about just centering the self, kind of a awareness of what's going on in the court. So by presenting awareness, you see what is happening on the court, and you make the right decisions over and over and over again. So something I started doing with that is these exercises, right? Something he would have guys do, he'd call timeout, and instead of going over plays, he would just have them go to their safe place in their minds. And they would practice this, visualize somewhere in your childhood that brought you calmness and peace. And then you come out of that timeout a lot more focused, centered, and then you're ready to kind of attack and execute. So something I do regularly on a daily basis is meditate for 10 minutes a day. So what I want us to do before we go into self-reflection is just take time to recenter ourselves. Be calm. And moving forward, when we're writing, do you guys all have pieces of paper and pen? I have some up here if you need some, but we'll get to it. So I'm going to set a timer. And this is something I do every week. On the podcast, right now it's every Sunday. I release kind of like guided reflections, about 40 to 50 minutes, where we take like 5 minutes of meditation, breathing exercises, and then we go into questions about our life. So we can get closer to this, right? If we don't know who we are, we're not going to know where. We're not going to know how. And we're not going to know who with. So I'll set a timer now for 3 minutes. So we're just going to close our eyes. And then just breathe in and out. And if thoughts come on your mind, just let them pass. It's not a big deal. Try to sit up straight. And all we're doing is focusing on the breath. Breathing in and breathing out. All right. How do you guys feel? You guys feel good? Relaxed? All right, so now we're ready to go. We're relaxed. So I want to go over about 7 skills that we can develop that will get us closer to this. Now, today's self-reflections questions are going to be a little bit more formal compared to what we usually do, but these are 7 skills we can develop that you don't have to pay any money for. They're free, but they do take effort and it will take time. So the first thing we want to think about is gratitude. Now, I want you to write about what you're grateful for. Start there. What are we grateful for? If we start the day with this kind of mindset, it paints the rest of the day in a positive light. If we wake up and we're thinking about ourselves and how the world isn't how we want it to be, then it's going to paint the rest of our day in a negative light. So with gratitude, there's infinite things to be grateful for. We're just going to think of some right now and just write them down. All right, the next skill we want to be thinking about is patience. Now, these often go hand in hand. Something I like to say, if you ever want to go on a self-development journey, self-improvement, you just want to be better, start with those 2 things. Understand that it's going to take time and small steps every single day. That's where I kind of messed up before the tractor fire. Was I would always, if I wanted to get better, I'd try to do it by the end of next week, right? So then you just load up every single day doing these things, and it's not sustainable. So then after that accident, it was the first time in, quite a while that I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to take small steps every day, and I think they're going to add up. And they did. So, patience. And I think that's a really difficult one today because of these guys, right? Everything is all about instant gratification. We want results immediately, but if we have patience and take small steps and just focus on that, we're going to get to our goals a lot quicker than trying to burn through it. So patience is really valuable. And if you have these two, you're ahead of most people in life. Have you ever observed anyone in a line at like a grocery store or another store? People, like, when they get uncomfortable, they bring out this. Try small things, right? Small things like, I'm not going to look at my phone right now. I'm going to stand here and breathe, or look around, or talk to somebody, right? Just, I know how that gets when you're like, oh, what do I do now? So write more about ways you could be more patient if you haven't already. The next one, resilience. How many of you have heard the word resilience before? Okay. It's kind of like getting through adversity, overcoming difficult things. Life is going to throw a lot of things at us. We got to be ready, and we got to be able to get through them, once they come and we experience them. So we mentioned 2 near-death experiences in the last 5 years. The second one was in 2022. I was going to a movie theater to watch Jurassic World. So the next day, I was recording with my friend Kat. She works at NASA in mission control. And something that we have in common is we like dinosaurs a lot. So I was going to watch Jurassic World so I'd have more stuff to talk about. And I'm walking down the street, and I'm by an intersection. So there's like a stop sign right here. An SUV pulls up, doors fly open, and 3 guys with Uzi guns run at me and demand I give them everything I have or they're going to shoot and kill me. And I said no. So then we go back and forth, and I still say no, until one of them hits me in the head with the gun, and then another one punches me in the face or uses the gun and hits me in the face. Then they start taking off my backpack, and they have that, and then they want my phone and wallet. So I'm like, fine. So I give it to them, and then they want the passcode. And I say, no, I'm not giving you the passcode. So then he starts threatening to shoot at my feet. I said, no, I'm not giving it to you. So then I wait, and he didn't shoot. So I ran the opposite way, and they ran back in the SUV and left. And so they got some items. I was carrying a MacBook with me, 3 iPhones, an iPad. But it wasn't the tech. It was the notebooks. I write every single day. The things we're doing, I do this every day. And I didn't have a contingency for if something were to happen like this. So then I started, after this, uploading digital files, taking photos and uploading them, things like that. And I wasn't angry about it. It's more so and interconnectedness of our world. And people ask, like, how could you not be angry? I don't know. I went back to work the next day. We record the podcast. When you have purpose, when you have this, nothing stands in your way. If you have purpose, you just keep going. I went to work the next day. It's easy to get down when things happen to you, but you got to rebound. You got to overcome them and get better from them. So that's an example of resilience. We can't get down on ourselves. We have to just keep going, keep moving forward. Dig deep down. Know why you're here on earth, because we're not here for long, and just keep going forward. It's easy to get seduced by others having sympathy for situations that happen to you. It can be seductive. But it's not about what happens to you, it's about how you overcome them. Resiliency. So if you haven't already, be writing about how you've demonstrated resiliency in the past. Or think about how you could do it in the future if something comes up. How are you going to respond? And please, if someone does come at you with guns, please just give everything to them. That was stupid. So do that. They're probably not after your intellectual property, like I thought. So don't do that. Anger never resolves anything. It just makes things worse. And that's part of the Phil Jackson kind of leadership style. We don't want to be angry at our opponents or view them as enemies. They just are kind of like dance partners in a way. And we're in the dance of life. And we just kind of react and flow to things. When you get angry, you're not clear-headed, and you make poor decisions. So this next thing is reliability. I cannot emphasize reliability enough. This is something so simple. Does your action match your words? If more people understood this, things would move a lot smoother. People wonder why they're not getting a job or how things aren't working out for them. It's showing up. Show up. Most of the opportunities you're going to get are just literally just showing up. Reliability, because it's not just about you. It's about working together with other people as a team. And if you fall through on your commitments, then that puts the burden on other people. And it's not fair to them, So we're all in a kind of world together. And we need to work together, collaborate, and be considerate of other people. So think about reliability. How have you demonstrated reliability before? How can you continue to do it? What does that look like moving forward for you? Few people are still writing. We'll Wait a little bit. And again, these are all things that it doesn't take any money, but they'll allow you to do this. All right, diligence. You can kind of think about this as like work ethic. Like work hard. Be prepared. So if you know something's coming up, visualize the things you got to do leading up to it. I like to think of Wisconsin as very diligent. I've lived in Chicago for half my life, and if you just look at the sports teams, Wisconsin is very practical, very measured, very kind of no nonsense, very just prepared, continually prepared. And I appreciate that. So in life, we want to be prepared for things. And then when those things come up, we want to be there, be present, and work hard. Yeah, so we're writing about diligence, work ethic, All right, the next one is openness. Let's write about whether or not we've been open to other ideas, other perspectives. In the future, how can we continue to be open to those kinds of things? I think we can learn something from everybody, and it's really important to kind of take that approach that we might disagree with someone on something, but they definitely know something that we don't. And it's important to understand that so we can work together and build things that don't even exist yet. When I was 22, after I graduated college, I lived homeless in Chicago for 4 months. I slept in bushes, snuck into buildings, ate at soup kitchens. Then I entered a shelter program for 2 months. Slept just, side by side with other guys from all walks of life, different backgrounds, different situations, and learned a lot from it. I applied a lot from it. As humans, we only need 4 things in life. It's very simple: water, food, shelter, and human connection. If you have those 4 things, you're pretty much good. It's something I really took away with living in the homeless shelter with other guys. If we're with each other, we can get through most things. It's when we're alone that, it starts to get a little shaky and lacking human connection. Something I've felt and have observed. So with tech, we're kind of losing that human connection a little bit. We certainly have abundance and excess when it comes to water, food, shelter, material things. But what about human connection? Are we missing that essential part of being human? And it's important to consider too, with these things, freedom is once we have those 4 things, it becomes It is free, in a way. And with openness, I think we could do better and make more improvement if we considered other perspectives and we're open to more experiences. You know, one reason why homelessness continues to get worse is because leaders don't look to learn from the homeless. There's a lot you can learn from the homeless. And I think that's really important. Being open to more perspectives, ideas, cultures, people. You know? So we'll spend a few more minutes on that. Yeah, I wrote 3 books so far. And that was one of them. In particular about the 2 months I stayed in a shelter. And all the guys I met, kind of their experiences, where they were coming from. All right, this next one is courage. And this essentially is acting in the face of fear. Right? There's so many things that we're afraid of, so many things that can really provoke emotions of negativity or anxiety within us. But it's important to develop the skill of courage. Acknowledging that doesn't have to be absent, but responding to it. Deciding, you know what, I'm going to be better. I'm going to act in spite of my fear or things that scare me. So be thinking about courage, times you've done it. Imagine times coming up where you might have to act with courage. It's easier to be afraid and do nothing than to move with courage. The last one is generosity. Give. Give to other people. You can give monetarily, you can give of your time, and you can give your skills. So think about how you can be more generous. And then with generosity, the more energy you're giving out, the more will come to you. So that's also where openness comes in. Accept the energy that comes to you. No one does anything by themselves. There's a lot of acts of generosity that go a long way that help each other. We're a collaborative species, social species. So the more we help, the better we all are. A friend of mine once said, all boats rise with the tide. And I love that. What we want to do is raise the tide so that all boats float, right? And that's part of generosity. So by taking time to think about these skills, and how we can put more effort into them, we'll be closer to where we want to be. So much in our society revolves around money, consumption, materials, things like that. This stuff, you don't have to pay anything. You can just practice them every day. Every day. And the results will come. The results will come. So we'll spend a little bit more time with those. Now, these are more skills. A lot of times in our weekly guided reflection, we do more personal questions to you. Like, what are you curious about right now? How do you go about reading books? How do you go about learning? They're fun. A little bit more informal. Now let's spend a little bit of time, put your imagination cap on, and think about these. Visualize the answers you would have to these questions. Where do you want to live? How do you want to live? And who with? So why don't you take some time and write about those things. It can be anything. Don't think small. Have fun with it. You can do anything. I can say I live mine. I live life that I've designed. I travel a lot. Last year I spent week-long trips to Mexico City, Miami, London, Paris, New York 3 times. I have unlimited vacation, unlimited flexibility in my schedule. Those are things that I value. I don't want my schedule determined by anyone else. This year I went to LA, Miami, New York. Have friends all over. I use the podcast, Rich Conversations, to talk to people all over in different fields. The only continent I haven't talked to somebody on is Australia. I'll figure that out. Friends with a marine biologist who lives in Antarctica 4 months out of the year. That's wild. They have like a base, and it's just a bunch of different countries together, and they barter. Like money doesn't exist, they barter. So he like smuggles cigarettes on to barter more. It's just fun. Like these are the things we can be doing today. We have technology that enables us to talk with anyone, anywhere. It's fun. Imagine a life that's fun for you, catered to you. You know, where you want to live, how you want to live, and who with. Things are getting better and better, in particular with software, where it just cuts time down of doing things. Like I redid my website and I timed it. It was like 1 hour and 48 minutes. 10 years ago, that would have taken me like 7 months or a year. All I know is I couldn't do it, so I'd have to hire someone else. But now everything is so much easier and so cost effective. So if you have ideas, you can start pursuing them immediately. You can go on YouTube, learn skills. And I think that's an important piece of this, is a lot of these skills aren't concrete, but extremely valuable. If you attach a hard skill to it, you'll live your dreams. Yeah, it's quite simple. Develop some skills, and that depends on what kind of life you want to live, right? Like you could pick up some digital skills, and then you can live certainly wherever you want today. You know, non-digital skills, there is a lot of opportunity out there. And like something we practice with the breathing exercises and kind of meditation is with repetition of that. You know, doing that for 3 minutes, it's not a big deal. We might have felt a little better immediately after, but doing it repetitively, you become aware of what is happening, you know, and you're less in your head. A lot of our problems are in our head. And so we're always thinking about ourselves rather than being here, present in this space with people around us and what is happening. You know, so instead of seeing what's happening, we don't, because we're closed because we're in our heads. So it's kind of the value of that. And by seeing things that are happening, we see opportunities, which again lead to this. Some additional fun stuff. I have a lot of friends that are musicians, and they tour the world, and they're phenomenal. And something they like to say is that there are 3 things you need to be a successful musician. You need to be talented, you need to be professional, and you need to be fun. If you have 2 of those 3, you can make a career out of it. If you have all 3, you will crush it. So why don't we take the last bit of time here to just think about those things. Think about it personally. What things are we talented at? Talent is kind of broad, but what it really means is practice. With a lot of practice, we can become talented at what we decide. Yeah, take a little bit of time. What would we like to practice more? What's a skill we would like to develop more? And once I said that, I was like, oh, I'm taking that. I think it's applicable with many things. Now, talent is practicing a skill. Professional is kind of that reliability. It's actually quite a bit of these together. It's showing up when you're expected. So if you have rehearsal, show up, be ready to play, know the music, know how things are and how to interact with people, be kind to people when you're on set, be kind to people when you're on stage. Be a professional, Now, fun means being social. It's something we don't really talk about enough, are you fun to be around? Now, you don't have to be the extroverted personality. Some of you may be. But be a presence. Be here, Something we can do is not be on our phone. Be present, listen, ask questions with other people. That goes a long way. You can, so we're saying talented, professional, fun. Now, if you're talented and fun, you can be successful. If you don't quite show up on time, if you're kind of a pain in the butt to work with, you can kind of let it slide because you're fun to be with and you're really good, right? If you're professional and fun, you can let talent slide. So if you show up and people like you, you're going to be fine. And it's the same thing with, say, where are we at now? Talented and professional. If you're good and you show up, but maybe you're not as fun, it doesn't matter. If you have all 3, you'll crush it. And you can apply this with anything in life. So we'll spend a couple minutes or 2 finishing up here. right, so we're kind of wrapping up here. Do you guys have any questions at all? Anything on your mind?
Explain diligence a little bit more.
Diligence?
Yeah.
It's essentially like perseverance. Hard work, perseverance, preparedness. Getting things organized and lined up to be successful. So if you're working on a project, like show up every day and just keep at that project. Keep working towards it. Keep working towards your goals. And do what has to be done to complete it. You know, kind of finish it till the end. Be prepared, work hard. I know, it is like one of those words that it's not on our everyday vocabulary. Yeah, I feel that. Anybody else have questions?
Which near-death experience kind of changed you more?
The first one, because it catalyzed the direction that I chose in life. You know, you can sometimes be at a crossroads, or you're kind of coasting, and you don't know what to do with your life. Well, something like that happens. Okay, what are we going to do moving forward? And so that ignited the direction to go into. Yeah.
Why did you keep saying no to people that were trying to keep yourself?
Say it again?
Why did you keep saying no? Is there a reason why you kept saying no to trying to keep yourself?
Because I didn't want to give up my notebooks. That was the big thing. As strange as that sounds, I put a lot of effort into stuff like this so that I'm clear-headed and life becomes what I design. And so to me, the notebooks are really precious, more so than physical things. These can be replaced. And not long after, I upgraded and replaced all the tech. Everything was backed up. It's notebooks. As stupid as that sounds. And I remember in those notebooks, too, I was having a conversation with some material scientists in Istanbul. And the things they were saying were just blowing my mind. It's crazy. Like, if you look at a skyline today, those buildings, those towers, those materials did not exist 50 years ago. And the skylines that we're going to see 50 years from now, they don't exist. The materials. And software and technology is becoming so cheap and so good, and especially with quantum computers, the first trillionaire will come from materials. And it could be like it could be one of you on a computer with software where you can run simulations of what elements on the periodic table will do when they interact with each other and create semiconductors and like that. It's amazing to me. And so I remember in those notebooks, like my notes from that were there, and that really bothered me. Go ahead, yeah.
Me?
Yeah.
You said that you wanted to run for president in 2028. How do you plan on teaching America as a whole what you taught us here today?
Just on the ground. That's where I'm starting now. Overall, when we're talking about raising the tide, that's essentially what I see the most important thing we need to do right now is focus on wellness. There's a lot of things happening in the world, but there's kind of a malaise among people. There's kind of we're not doing well. We're quite unwell. But we can get better through basic things like this, fundamentals. You know, our minds have really accelerated with these things. These are amazing. I have multiple ones of them. But it's about using them intentionally in a direction so that they enhance our life rather than run our life. And it's difficult. We have companies with billion-dollar algorithms attacking our attention. You know, it's serious, but by working more together, we're very individualistic right now. We need to be more collaborative, take more of these skills, appreciate other people that are different from us, focus on our shared beliefs, our common values. I think this is pretty universal. I think everybody can agree with this. We want to live where we want, how we want, and with who we want, you know? But also respecting others who choose their own decisions this way, right? Just coming together and just healing. But also understanding the direction and the world that we live in with digital technology, the information revolution. I see it more as generational issues. We need younger people to make more decisions that understand the dynamics of the global world with the technology. And I'm inspired to help be a part of that. So, well, thanks for being here today, guys. Appreciate it.
Everybody, what do we think of Rich?
Outstanding! Oh!
Thank you.